Hello everyone, this is Pet Crochets. Welcome back to my channel. Look at this adorable red ruffle and bow dress slash sweater that I crocheted my dog. This is the very first dog sweater slash dog dress slash dog garment that I've ever created. Up to date, I've only ever crocheted her a little hat and those little doggy leg warmers. I recently crocheted a red bow back dress for myself and had some extra yarn left over and thought it would be a really cute and funny idea to make her a matching dress. So this is the little dress that I crocheted for her. It has ruffles around the leg hole openings and a little bow in the back, and then matching my dress I have a little shell lace detail at the bottom of the dress. If you like this tutorial, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. This looks absolutely adorable on her, and it was just in time for her birthday. Yes, my little girl turned 9 years old recently. It hurts my heart to say I hate watching her get older, but I know it's a marker of another wonderful year that I got to spend with her, and I look back on all our memories together and it just warms my heart. Nadu came into my life when I was in high school, so she's been there through all of the important milestones in my life, through high school, through undergrad, through grad school, to getting my OT degree and my license, to becoming a working adult, to getting married. So she's been through it all. She's been there right by my side, and I just love her so much. Anyway, before I start crying, let's get started with this tutorial. To begin, I'm grabbing my 3.75mm hook, and this is a weight 4 acrylic yarn. I'm making foundation single crochet stitches to the length of the collar that I desire. So for the collar, I did about an inch. So here I'm just making those foundation single crochet stitches. I'll be linking the video to how to do these chainless foundation stitches above. However, if you don't want to start off this way, you can also start off by making a chain, going back, and then doing a single crochet row. Once I have that completed, I'm doing one extra chain as the turning chain and turning my work. And now I'm going to go into just the back loops of these single crochet stitches and then doing a single crochet. So back loop only, single crochet all the way down this row. When we get to the end of this row, we're just going to chain one, turn our work, and then keep doing these back loop only single crochet rows until this is long enough that it can go over your dog's head and it goes around their neck. So you want to do this until it's the circumference of your dog's neck. Also remember that this ribbing is fairly stretchy, so you want to stretch it to make sure it fits comfortably. I kept going with this ribbing until it was able to go over my dog's head comfortably and rested at her neck. Now we're going to align the two ends together, make sure that this ribbed portion isn't twisted, and we're going to join the ends by slip stitching all the way down. You want to align the two ends together, go through the stitches on both sides, and do a slip stitch by pulling the yarn all the way through. And you're going to do this all the way down until it joins that end together. Once we finish, we've created this loop or the collar, and I'm going to turn this inside out so that the seam side is facing inward. You're going to chain one and turn your work, and then you're going to go down and start single crocheting along the entire perimeter of this round. There's no clear stitch to go into, just make sure that your single crochet stitches are fairly evenly spaced out, and you're going to do this all the way around. When you get to the end, you're going to slip stitch into that very first single crochet stitch that you made. And this is what it should look like so far. Now I'm chaining up 2 and turning my work. I'm going to start by placing a double crochet into the second stitch from the hook. So I'm not going into that first stitch. We're going to count that first stitch that holds the chain as a double crochet and go into the second stitch. And into every single stitch in this round, we're just placing a double crochet. You're going to go all the way around. At the end, we're going to join the round by going into the top of that very first double crochet we made and doing a slip stitch. Here's where our pattern will kind of change depending on our dog's measurements. So my dog's neck is fairly short and I need to start increasing to accommodate for her shoulder width. So I'm going to start increasing in this round. I increased by placing 2 double crochets into every 6th stitch. So this is 5 stitches after that initial stitch that I did. Here's my first double crochet and my second double crochet all into that very same stitch. You can alter this depending on how wide your dog's shoulders are and how big they are. At the end of this row, you're going to join the round by slip stitching into the top of the very first double crochet. Now I'm just going to take a moment to 1, put this over my dog's head to make sure it fits, and 2, I'm going to determine where I want the leg holes to be. So I wanted the leg holes to start around the top of her front leg shoulder blades. So I took a quick measurement and I determined that that was around 2 inches from the base of her neck. And I kept doing these double crochet rows until it was around 2 inches long. Then you're going to take the measurement of their chest, the width between the 2 front legs. For my dog, that was around 2.5 inches. Now that I'm ready to start that chest panel, I'm going to do double crochet stitches only until I reach that 2.5 inches. So I'm not going all the way around like we've been doing. I'm stopping when I reach around 2.5 inches in width to start that chest panel. So I have 2.5 inches, and instead of going all the way around, now I'm going to stop right there, chain up 2 and turn my work. And previously we've been going into that second stitch, but now we're going to go into that very first stitch, the stitch holding the chain. And we're going to do a double crochet. We're going to double crochet all the way down this short row. And we're going to stop at that last stitch. We're not going into that chain up of 2. We're stopping at the very last stitch right here. Now to continue this chest portion, I'm going to chain up 2 and I'm going to keep repeating these double crochet rows back and forth until this is long enough that it reaches the back of that front leg around their joint, that little joint that bends their paw right around where their armpit is. So for my dog, that was around 3 inches. I would also recommend that you keep putting this on your dog and just measuring along the way to make sure that everything fits nicely. Now we're ready to make the front leg holes. To do that, you're going to make a chain and then you're going to attach this back to the base of the dog sweater. You want to make sure that the leg hole opening is big enough that your dog's paw can comfortably fit through and you can easily slide their paw in and out when you're putting the sweater on and taking it off. You want to make sure that you keep count of how many stitches you make for the chain. I did 10. And you want to make sure you count up how many stitches on the base of the sweater that you're going to need in order to attach this chain to make it a complete loop. I hope that makes sense. So my chain was 10 chains long, and I also made sure that when I was attaching this chain back to the body of the sweater, I counted how many stitches there were between the chain and where I connect the chain to the sweater, because we're doing the same thing on the other side. To join this, we're going to join this with a slip stitch. I determined the length of my chain by doing a chain up of 10 and then fitting this on my dog and making sure that it was big enough. And sure enough, it fit perfectly. Now I'm going to chain up 1, and without turning, I'm going to double crochet up until we reach that very next leg hole opening. So once again, you're going to count how many stitches you had for this leg hole opening, and then count that many stitches from the base of the chest panel to the side of this sweater. So here I am just measuring that up. And I'm going to count up how many stitches I had between the chest panel and the chain for the leg hole opening, and count that many stitches for the other side as well. So this is where I'm going to begin that other leg hole opening, and it should be symmetrical to the other side. I did 10 chains for the other side, so I'm doing 10 chains for this leg hole opening. And I'm going to join this chain to the chest panel, so it's symmetrical to the other side. I'm going to find that first double crochet stitch on the chest panel and join this chain with a slip stitch. Now we're going to chain up one and turn our work, and we're going to start working into that chain we just made and place a double crochet into every single chain. Go all the way around, do the chain on the other side, and I'll show you how to end this row where we began. You're going to end by slip stitching into the top of that very first double crochet stitch that you made, right there. And this is what it should look like so far. So we have the leg hole openings, and we have that chest panel, as well as the collar and the neck/shoulder portion. Now we're going to keep adding double crochet rows, and here's once again where our pattern is going to change depending on our dog's anatomy and their size. So you can add more increased rows, which means you're going to add 2 double crochets into X amount of stitches, or you can continue doing just regular double crochet rows if this already fits your dog. For my dog, her rib cage gets smaller around her belly area, so I wanted to add decreased rows. To do decreased rows, you're going to double crochet 2 stitches together. You're going to yarn over, put your hook into the stitch and pull up a loop, go into the very next stitch and pull up another loop. Yarn over, pull through 3 loops on your hook, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops on your hook. So you double crocheted 2 stitches together. I did that at the base of the chest panel, and then again at the end of this leg hole opening, and I did that for the other side as well, for a total of 4 decreases in this row. I alternated between a regular double crochet row and decreased row while continuously trying this on my dog until it was around her mid-back length. And to start the shell row, you need a multiple of 5, so I just kept counting the stitches and made sure that at my last row I had a count up of stitches that was a multiple of 5. I would just keep counting up the stitches and throw in a couple of increases or decreases to get to that multiple of 5. To start the shell row, I'm grabbing a bigger hook. This is a 4mm hook. I'm going to chain 2, and into the 3rd stitch from the hook, I'm doing a double crochet. And now we're starting our shell stitch, so we're placing another double crochet into that very same stitch, doing a chain up of 1, and placing 2 more double crochets into that same stitch. So it's 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets all into the same stitch. Now we're skipping a stitch, and into the next 2 stitches we're doing a double crochet. So here's 1 double crochet, into the next stitch another double crochet. Now we're skipping a stitch, and into this next stitch a shell stitch. So 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. And this is the pattern you're going to keep repeating for this row. So skip a stitch, 2 double crochets, skip a stitch, shell stitch, all the way to the end. To end this row, we're going to slip stitch into the top of that very first double crochet stitch that we did. Now we're going to do increase shell rows, so you're going to start off with a chain up of 3 and turn your work. And the first 2 stitches we have are those 2 double crochet stitches, so you're just going to place a double crochet into the top of those 2 double crochet stitches. And now before we do the shell stitch, previously we were just going right in, we're going to do a chain up of 1. This will be our increases. And into that chain space or into the center of that previous shell stitch, we're doing another shell. So 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. And then before we do our 2 double crochet stitches, we're going to do another chain up of 1. So this is the pattern you're going to repeat. You're going to chain 1 between the shell stitches and chain 1 between those 2 double crochet stitches all the way around. And I'll show you how to end this row. To end this row, we're going to go into that chain and we're looking for the middle chain, so the 2nd chain, and we're going to slip stitch into that 2nd chain. And that will end this row. Then to begin the next row, I just kept doing increase rows, so I chained up 3 and continued that previous pattern up until it was my desired length. This hit about a few inches before my dog's tail. I didn't want to get too close to the end of her body. When you're finished, you can chain 1, cut, and pull the yarn through to secure it. Now we're going to work on the ruffles along the armholes. So you're going to look for that stitch at the top of the chest panel, right before we started the chest panel, that corner stitch, and you're going to pull a slip knot through that stitch. Now you're just going to single crochet along this entire opening, so along the perimeter of this leg hole opening, place a single crochet. To join this row, you're just going to slip stitch into that very first single crochet stitch that you made. And now to start the ruffles, you're going to chain 2 and turn your work. And into every single one of these single crochet stitches, I'm placing 3 double crochets. And this will create those ruffles. So you're going to go and place 3 double crochets into every single stitch. And I'll show you how to end the round. To end this round, I'm just slip stitching into that very first double crochet stitch that I made. Then I'm going to do 1 extra chain, cut the yarn, and pull it through to secure. You're going to repeat this step for the other side as well, so place your hook into the top of that chest panel and body panel corner stitch. To make the bow, you're going to make a long chain. I believe I did about 55 chains. You can determine how big your bow is going to be by folding this chain into fourths, and that will tell you how big the bow portion is going to be. So if you want to know how big each individual side of the bow is going to be, just fold it into fourths, and half of that is how big one side of the bow is going to be. So I want it to be about this long. Now I'm going to do 1 extra chain. This is my turning chain, and I'm single crocheting all the way down this chain. However, I'm stopping before that last stitch. We're skipping the very last stitch of this chain. So I'm stopping right here, right before that last stitch. Without chaining, I'm going to just directly turn my work. I'm going to be single crocheting into the front loops of this single crochet stitches. So I'm putting my hook without chaining into the front loop and doing a single crochet. And you're going to do this front loop only single crochet all the way down. However, once again, you're going to be skipping that last stitch. So you're stopping in the stitch before the last stitch. For the next row, without chaining, you're turning your work once again. And this time, instead of doing the front loops, we're going to be going into the back loops. So back loop only, single crochet into every single stitch. Once again, you're skipping that very last stitch. And this is the pattern you're going to repeat until it is as big as you want your bow width to be. So you're going to alternate between front loop only and back loop only rows, making sure to skip that very last stitch. And when you turn your work, make sure you're not chaining. I kept going until my width was around 1.5 inches, and now I'm just turning my work to the side, and I'm going to slip stitch down this entire edge to clean up that edge. You're going to do 1 extra chain, cut, and pull the yarn through to secure. And I'm just putting my hook into the other side as well to clean up that edge. So once again, I'm pulling a slip knot through and then slip stitching all the way down this side. When I reach the end, I'm going to do 1 extra chain, cut the yarn, and pull it through to secure. Now here's how you fold this strip to make the bow. You're going to put that rib side up, and you're going to fold it into fourths. Now you're going to sew down this center. Once that's sewn down, you're going to open this portion of the bow and make sure that it's aligned down the center like so. And once again, you're going to sew down this center. If this is a little bit too fast or confusing, you can go to my bow backless red dress. I have a bigger version of this bow and it might be a little bit more clear to see. Once you're done, you're going to take that excess yarn and just tie it around the center and tie it really tight to make that bow-like shape. So I'm just wrapping this around that center and making sure that it's nice and tight. Now I'm going to create the center of the bow by making a rectangle, and this will hide that center. You're going to make a chain that's long enough that's going to wrap around the center and go through to the back. Make 1 extra chain as the turning chain, and then just go down and make single crochets. When you reach the end, chain 1 and go back around and do as many single crochet rows as needed to cover the center. From here, you're just going to sew those 2 ends together, and then you're going to weave in all of these loose ends, and then you'll have your little bow. For the final step of this dress, you're just going to sew this bow onto the dress itself. And this is what the final product looks like. We have the adorable little bow in the back, the shell rose on the bottom. We have this nice stretchy ribbed collar at the top. And then we have the cute little ruffles around the leg hole openings. If you guys like these kind of tutorial videos, garments for dogs or accessories for dogs, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to make more creations for Naru to wear. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more tutorials and videos for both dogs and humans. As always, thank you guys for supporting my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye everyone!